Now, this is what I'm talking about, and nothing comes even close. If you're like me and you want to play and own your retro games on the original console, this guide is for you. I know retro game collecting is looking worse and worse, and that's why I want to make a budget guide. I would like this to become a series, but today we're looking at the PlayStation 1, responsible for some of the most iconic games of all time. The budget for today is under $200 US. I will still make the conversion in Canadian dollars. My objective is for you to get a PS1, 2 controllers, 2 memory cards, and 5 games. First of all, you're gonna want to buy a PlayStation 1, obviously. The best option would be to take a look at your local game store, if you have one, because then if you buy games with it, you could have a bundle and negotiate for a cheaper price. If that's not the case, here's what I'm recommending. If you're looking for the base model on eBay, you could find a PlayStation for around $60 US or $80 Canadian. Depending on the condition, these may vary, but for a decent one with a controller and all the cables, that's a pretty reasonable cost. You will find similar price on Amazon too, or any other, retro game seller online. There is also the PS1, which is a smaller version of the PlayStation. This one is a little pricier, costs around $80 US or $100 Canadian. Apart from taking less space and having a cooler design, in my opinion, you should stick to the base PlayStation, so you could buy more games or accessories instead. It is also easy to find on eBay and Amazon. Now for the accessories you need. If your PlayStation did not come with a memory card, you will need one. And those are available on eBay, Amazon, or Lucky Games, which is a website I've been using for a while. I'll put the link in the description. They go for about $5 to $15 US or $10 to $20 Canadian, depending on the memory size. Also on Lucky Games, you can find an extra PS1 controller. An original controller costs about $15 US dollars or $20 Canadian. In my opinion, you don't absolutely need the original one because the bootleg ones are fine and they're like half the price, so you could get more. If you have an HD or a 4K TV, there's a lot of chance you don't have an AV port, so you will need an adapter. But the good thing is they are really easy to find. You don't need one that is specifically made for the PlayStation. They are overpriced and work the same as the basic one. You can find one on Amazon, eBay, Walmart, or your local game store for around $10 US or $15 Canadian. Now let's round the numbers. You should be at around $100 US or $130 Canadian. Now I'm gonna make a list of 10 games I'm recommending, and I'm gonna choose 5 of them as an example. For the first game, I'd recommend Spyro the Dragon. To this day, it's still a classic. It's a great 3D platformer, and it still holds up really well, especially for the PS1. This one is $25 on Lucky Games. By the way, I'll put a link in the description for all of the games I'll mention. If you like the game, the sequels are also on PS1 and are amazing. Some of the most iconic games of all time are the Tony Hawk Pro Skaters. They're just great arcade sports game. You could pick any of them. They're all great, but I would suggest picking the second or the third one. They go for about $12 each. A great addition to your collection would definitely be Tekken 3. A really cool 3D fighting game running at 50 to 60 FPS. It's so smooth and it's probably the best of its generation. The game goes for around $25 US. Driver 2 is a ton of fun. It's an action racing game taking place in Chicago or Las Vegas. It's basically like if Grand Theft Auto only had the driving part. The story is pretty nice and the driving feels good. I recommend it, and it's only 15 bucks. The PlayStation is known for the amount of extremely good JRPGs. So I have to name some, and I'll go with Chrono Cross. You don't have to play Chrono Trigger, it takes place after, but you follow another story with new characters. Anyway, great story, the soundtrack is beautiful, and it's probably the best looking game on PlayStation 1 in my opinion. I think Siphon Filter really paved the way for third-person action games like Splinter Cell or Uncharted. Its varied levels, action sequences, cutscenes and dialogues were really ambitious for its time, which I appreciate. Game goes for around $70 US and the sequel is $10, so it's even better. Croc is an underrated platformer that really deserves a new entry. It's simple, but it works. The music is really nice and it can be a challenge sometimes and needs precision. The game goes for around $15 US. For its time, the original Rainbow Six was pretty revolutionary. A tactical FPS that was really hard and still is. The sound design was on another level. I think it's worth a try, especially because it's only $7. Warhammer Shadow of the Horned Rat is a real-time strategy game that I used to play a lot when I started collecting for the PS1. It's basically a glimpse of what would eventually become Total War. Really well made considering the limitations of the PS1. It goes for around $25 US. The PlayStation 1 version of Crusaders of Might and Magic had a really unique atmosphere. The story, the voice acting, and the music made this medieval fantasy adventure game stand out. Game is worth around $20 US. Obviously, I could have included 1,000 other games that are also amazing, but I tried to put a bit of everything in this list. I would be happy to do a part 2 if you'd like. For example, I decided to go with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, which was $12, Siphon Filter 1 and 2 for $27, Croc for $15, and Crusaders of Might and Magic for $20. So my total would be around $174 before taxes. If you want to go over budget or buy 1 or 2 games depending on the amount you want to spend on to begin with, you could. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to help, and don't forget, everything I mentioned is in the description. I hope this video helped you, and let me know which console you'd like me to make a guide on next time. Thank you guys, and have a nice day.